Right. Hello, welcome to first, midweek attempt at some Kerbal Space Program Science Mode streaming. I've decided that I wanted to play this game save a bit more because I do find Science Mode a bit more fun than the career save that I've got. So I figured, and I wanted to try to keep this this game sort of like streaming the whole thing. So I want to play more. I need to stream more. So. Here we are. So, I guess without further ado, back into. Still got the one flight in progress. I think one day we will go back and we will fetch that that moon mission. But yes, so I was thinking on Sunday that if we go V.E.A.B, because we need to. There we go. If I open up the Minmus Lander 2 that we were looking at, that I was building. If you look, let's go to set this to Minmus. You notice this thing's got like 3,000 delta V, which is considerably more than you need to land on Minmus and take off again. So I'm thinking we could do some biome hopping on Minmus to get more science, and that way I don't have to do multiple missions to Minmus to get more science. If I try and do everything in one go, then it's a bit more interesting. We can start going into planetary earlier, etc., and then start sort of building infrastructure and bases and stuff. So I'm thinking new mission. Send a lander which has capacity for 2 Kerbals. So that we can take a scientist to reset the scientific experiments each time and aim to cover like at least a handful of the biomes on Minmus, then get back into Minmus orbit and then send a second mission, which would be a free man with a pilot to rendezvous with the lander, collect the science, return it to Kerbin in orbit around Minmus, or possibly in orbit around Kerbin if the Minmus lander has enough delta V to get back to Kerbin. So that's what I'm currently thinking. So I'm thinking we could have rejigged this design a bit. So the question is, do we do a? Let's look at the mass here. 1.37. So that's the yeah, that's a 2. That's probably that's the one we landed on Minmus before with. So 0.56, 0.7 is. No, I mean we can try it out. 1.4. So this is slightly heavier, but it does have the reaction wheels built in, so there is that. I think this is probably the best idea. So, before we do anything else, stick this on here. Let's get our service bay. Do you want the service bay? Or do we just want to stick the reaction wheel straight on? Because we have this inline stabilizer which we can use. This thing isn't coming back. This thing isn't coming back to Kerbin, so we don't need to worry about heat shield or anything. Actually, what we can do is we can take this. We can strip this ablator down because this thing isn't meant to re-enter. That's the hatch there. Again, we don't need to bother with decoupling because this is going to be a whole thing. So we want some Science Junior facing away from the doors. Let's make sure. Yep, it's facing away from the where the hatches. Yeah, evening donut. Yeah, I know. I do tend to stream at meal times. It's about the only time there isn't something else on, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we're going to Minmus, so we don't need to worry about don't need to worry too much about adding ladders. I mean, I'll add some ladders to make it easier to grab onto things. Because why not? Yeah, I think the ladders around this curve. I think it's a bit difficult to actually like the cobble can't really climb them. So I think I'm going to shove some on here with a view. Actually, those will do. With a view to popping a couple of these on. Yeah, in fact, I can probably move this there so that you can get access to it. Hopefully this shouldn't put the center of mass too far off center. I think that's all the science experiments we have at the moment. Ah yes, before I forget, I was going to put a probe core on this thing, because we have one, and it'll be useful to be able to deorbit it without, when we're done with it. So, pods, the octo, oh yeah, that. Configure best naming, it's going to be name priority 1. Minmus Lambda word core. Close this, configure the naming from here, because this is going to be the actual lambda. Biome exploration. And navigation, which is the B.E.A.N. Why not? Priority 9 because it is a lambda. Cool. Stick you back on. That is sort of looking a bit tall now, but we're going to stick the fuel and engines on the make sure it's still set to Minmus. Yeah, it's set to Minmus. And where is the engine there? So double check to see what the yeah, 3111, which is again like it should be enough to 14.71 is a bit much. A bit more than that. I want to aim for about 5. .74 that'll do. That's round after 40. There we go. Cool. Electrical. Landing struts. That's pretty much the middle. Like these aren't offsetting the center of mass too much. Yeah, 2,900, which again is enough for a few. I reckon it's enough for a few landings before we risk not being able to get back into orbit. And cable, right. 400 electric charge should be fine, so we've got the solar panels to recharge whilst we're on the surface. Yeah, it's a little bit tall, but I think we'll be alright. Close this. I don't want crew or cargo, because we want to shove a actually it might be if we have space. Just basically like there's only one capacity in here, then you need like an extra slot to be able to put because like you can't, like you need to put the, like, say for example, the parachute somewhere in order to grab the I don't think there's a way of swapping them over, is there? Oh no, you can. Okay, that's useful. Okay, we'll leave it like that then. So yeah, so we've got that with us. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about these yet, because I'm wanting to deploy these as part of like a permanent base on Minmus. So let's double check that these actually, yeah, I guess it's clearance for the engine. We can also make that yeah, that's a truss mount. I think that's purely aesthetic. I don't think it actually matters too much. Oh yeah, got to rename this. Right, so I think there's a way of disabling this, is there? Oh, decoupler, disable staging. Awesome. I didn't. That must be an advanced tweakable. You can actually remove the decoupler from the staging thing, so you can't accidentally decouple the entire rest of the lander. That is useful. So yeah. Oh yes, we need RCS thrusters as well for the eventual docking procedure. I mean, we don't need them, but I'd rather have them than not. And this thing does have some monopropellant, which we won't need to use until does the thing have, does it have monopropellant? I don't think it does. No monopropellant, I don't think. No. So that's interesting. That's useful to know, because we're going to put some thruster blocks on and then no monopropellant tanks. Do we have a monopropellant tank? We don't want four. Four would be too many. But there, maybe it counts, like how much does it weigh? 0.1 tons. And the science experiments, that's half the weight. Yeah, it'll kind of counterbalance these a bit. But yeah, so we have some monoprop. We now need some RCS thruster blocks, which I kind of want to put. I can put there, but I'm not sure if they'll actually work. If these things, the landing struts might block them. So. What we can do is we can put the landing struts slightly off center like that. So yeah, they should still like work as a landing, but they won't potentially block these when it comes time to do any orbital manoeuvring. Because yeah, I'd rather have orbital manoeuvring from either side than so like, I mean the rendezvous craft will probably do the actual docking. This thing will just rotate and point. But yes, hopefully this will do. So now we want to get this. Now we need to get this thing to Minmus. So let's set this to Kerbin, just for the sake of Kerbin in vacuum at the moment. So I think it's like 900 to it's about 1200 ish to get to Minmus and decelerate. I probably want to add. I want to aim for 1500. I think because I want to have enough in the tank to also do the deorbit burn when we get there. And then I can separate, have the transfer stage crash into Minmus, and then we can land on it safely. Is my plan. So we want a TD12 decoupler, and we want our one-way transfer stage. So I want to see if I can do it with a again, I think like shorter and fatter is probably a better bet. Let's see what we can do with this. And then grab the Bobcat engine. 1493 thrust to weight ratio of 2.1. It's quite a high TLUR. I think like maybe we can get something a bit better. Where's the engine plate? This is quite cool. So these engine plates come with the Making History DLC, I believe, and they basically let you mount smaller engines to larger fuel tanks more easily. And you can also attach multiple. So, for example, we could do say three of the Terriers, and then you mount them with a truss mount just to like that, and then you get 1700 with a TLUR of 0.97, which for orbit is fine. Like you don't need that higher thrust to weight ratio. Like once you're in orbit and you're doing orbital maneuvers, it just means like 1700 meters per second. We're fine. Again, these engines don't have alternators, so what we can do is, oh yes, before I forget, we also want to have some communication as well. Put a little communitron on this thing. We don't want 4 of them. We just want the one. We'll stick it there. Just so we don't miss communication. I mean, we're taking a pilot, so it shouldn't matter. But it's always better to have it and not need it. This thing is going to become basically junk when we deorbit it. But we will stick some a couple of solar panels on here just to give us some extra power generation. As again, these don't generate that much power each, so and half of them will be in darkness on one side of the ship, so it'll just give us a bit of extra thing when we're en route. So this thing, 1697, which again should be more than enough to get us there and then do our deorbit. And then this thing is going to have, slightly less, 2800. Again, enough for at least a couple of landings. So yeah. So now I need to get this thing into orbit. And yes, actually, so now this. So we're going to try and get this thing to orbit, but because we're playing on hard mode and this thing is not designed to re-enter Kerbin's atmosphere, my plan is to have an escape module on the top, which is what the Kerbals will ride in on the ascent. So if anything goes wrong, this will they'll be able to escape and re-enter atmosphere fine. And then once we get into orbit, they can transfer into here and then detach the escape. So essentially, the plan was to have a where is the decoupling? Build a stack that we want a decoupler. Stick decoupler there. Oh, nice. Yeah, you can actually set the you can. Again, these are the advanced tweakables which I've only just started playing with, which are quite good. Because like we do want this in the staging, because this is the thing that's like assuming everything happens normally, we want this thing to go off when we've moved everyone to the thing. Like, do we have an adapter? It might be this, maybe this one. Yeah, I think that goes to does that have fuel in it? No, cool, no fuel. So then we want TD18. Oh no, it's too big for TD18. That's not the adapter we want. Where is structural gone? It's not that one. That's the one that goes down a size. We want the other one. That's definitely a 2.5 meter. Let's think. Consider we don't have quite the adapter we want. Oh, this will have to do. It's a bit bigger than what we wanted, which is a bit annoying. I think there are like you get access to more adapters as you unlock things. I don't think it's this one because this is too small. Yeah. Okay, that's a structural tube. And pop a probe core inside it, so we have some control in case we give us naming. Cool. Then plan to just stick this on top here. Again, it looks a bit weird, but yeah, I mean, I'd rather have a like too large thing with the smaller thing on top like this. I mean, what's the total weight of this thing? It's only 19 tons. We should be able to get it into orbit, but I believe the we want a 1.875 meter heat shield like that. So I believe this thing is that size, yeah. So this is where they're going to be when we're launching. So if anything goes wrong, so we want to remove this from staging. Yeah. Because this is going to decouple in the case of an emergency eject. So this thing, so like, as long as we haven't got to orbit yet, as long as we haven't got to orbit, if you hit abort, this thing will decouple. The module will have the pilot, will have the Kerbals in it, so we should have control. It does have reaction wheels, I believe. So we shouldn't have the spinning problem we had last time. And yeah, so we have to add parachutes to this, because this thing is you don't need that many parachutes, just need a couple, because this thing is going to be rescuing our Kerbals in case of and I think this is where the doors are. I think that's where the hatch. I mean, looks like that's where the hatch is. I believe we can. I'm assuming we can E.V.A. from this. I'll be a bit annoyed if we actually want to double check. Maybe it'll say if you can't E.V.A. It's available. Option with science. Inventory slots 2. Reaction wheel torque. Yeah. It doesn't say we can't E.V.A. from it, so I'm assuming we can. And then so yeah. Add altitude. Min pressure 0.2. In pressure 0.3. That's what I usually go for. We stick the launch escape system on top of here. Actually, we'll do that with a decoupler, so that we can. Yeah, we can do a stack separator. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be debris in the end of the day. So basically, yeah, so the Kerbals are right up at this thing, and then the idea is that once we're in orbit, they get out of this, come down here, where is this? That should be this one, shouldn't it? No, that's that. Which one's this? No, it's down. Oh, that's down here. Okay, right, cool. We want the drogue chutes first. Then the main chutes, then which one is that? Oh yes, there's that as well, which yeah, will be useful. That's going to want to go at the same time as these. This one. This is the one. This is like the normal operation one. So if everything goes to plan, then we kind of want this up here, don't we? Yeah. So basically, if everything goes to plan, we transfer the Kerbals, hit this thing. This whole apparatus flies off. Maybe it deorbits, maybe it doesn't. We don't really care. It's junk at that point. And then. And eventually, yeah, this thing we want the engine to activate at the same time, otherwise we'll try and use it and it won't fire up. Then we stick. Oh, actually, we set this variant to say medium short. We then add our payload fairing, and hopefully everything will fit inside it. Like that. And we won't build it yet. But the plan is to try and strut this up so it's a bit more stable on launch. I'm wondering if that will work. Yeah, I think that'll do. And then the build fairing. Go as wide as we can. Hope everything fits, which yeah, it looks like it might. There we go. Looking alright. Some sides, 3 sides. That's a 4-sided fairing. Okay, so let's see if we can get this bad boy into orbit. Okay, so if we're going to orbit, we set this to sea level. We assume the worst in our engines. Okay, where is that? Which one is this? So that one, we want to bring this up around the. Yeah, we want this to come up. We want this to come up around just before these, because yeah, essentially like we'll be using this if we have to escape. Is essentially what will happen. So if we don't have to escape, then like this thing can just this thing can just burn up in the atmosphere. Alright, I think that's it. We want this to go here, I think. Actually, no, we wanted to go before. Yeah, so we lose this thing before we lose the main, like the secondary ascent stage. So let's do the getting to orbit stage of this thing. So I'm thinking so this is basically when we want the Bobcat. Because we want the thrust to weight ratio in this stage. So what's it's either 0.99, it's not great. I'm wondering if we just go for the big. We are for the big. And then stick a skipper on here. See what this gives us. 2054 0.80 TWR. So we need to make that a bit better. I'm thinking we put in some side boosters. Side boosters are always fun. Kind of like last time. Yeah, I think I want that. Coupling. Let's take a pair of these. With some .16, which is that's. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's obviously it's enough to start going upwards. Kel aim for about 1.5. I remember reading somewhere. So I'm thinking we put some extra side boosters on the side to give us a little bit more oomph off the pad before we do anything. Aerodynamics. Orange, and actually we'll add these to the bottom here as well. Make sure our aerodynamic profile is fine. Don't need robotics, we want some structural. And then we want the fuel line. Give us a bit more in the way of. Anyway, so you've got 3,500 meters per second, which should be enough to get us into orbit, in theory, assuming we get an optimal thing. And that's 1.15 again. So I'm thinking maybe a couple of extra side boosters just to give us a little bit more off the pad. So we'll take the manifolds and try them on the side here for now. We probably don't need the kickback, I'm thinking. Oh no, yeah, we don't. I'm guessing kickback is probably the ones to go for. And then if we pop it at the same time, restage this, so it's like this. Let's have a look. 1.47, that's cool off the pad. By the time we're done with those, yeah, it's gone up because by the time these things have gone out, enough fuel's been burned. The thrust to weight ratio here is yeah, is 1.5 is 1.55, and again this is on sea level. So like as we go up, the thrust of the engines gets better because we have there's lower air pressure contending with it. Because essentially like these like engines are so these kind of Bell engines are designed to work optimally at a particular pressure. So some of them are like optimized for vacuum. So like for example these Poodle engines, you'll see like at surface thrust at surface level is 64.2 kilonewtons, and the engine ISP, which is like a measure of its efficiency, is 90. Whereas if you go into vacuum, it's 250 kilonewtons and 350, so like, this is very much optimized for use in vacuum. So this won't work very well if you try and take off from an atmosphere with it. Whereas, for example, this one's more kind of designed for like lower stage, like in the atmosphere ascent. So it works better in atmosphere, but it still works even better in vacuum. There are like other engine designs, notably the Aero Spike, which are designed such that it works about the same efficiency and thrust, no matter what the external air pressure is. But yeah, so if you look over here, we've got 1151, 691, 2524. That's like, even if we're making the ascent entirely at surface pressure, we should have enough to get into orbit. But these numbers will get better as we go up the atmosphere, which obviously the game can't predict because it doesn't know exactly what flight profile we're going to use. But we should have more than enough to get into orbit. Aerodynamics. Actually, no, we don't have the angled ones yet, so that's yeah. And some struts just to make sure it's extra secure. So then double check our settings. All the engines go off. Then these go. Then these go. Then we pop the fairing. So this is when we get into orbit. We pop the fairing. Then, assuming everything's gone to plan, we transfer our Kerbals from here to here. Pop this thing off. Probably try and turn retrograde to do that. So in the hope that this thing actually like carries it out of orbit and it re-enters the atmosphere. But again, like, you don't necessarily need to do that. Then this bit, so this is our transfer stage, and then this is our lander. So yeah, let's add some. Let's put this in a more sort of realistic looking height. So like this. Add some launch clamps. I hope this will be structurally sound. But yeah, so we'll save this, and what we'll do is we'll build the orbital rendezvous, so they're like the meet and return vehicle at the same time. So we'll have them both ready to go. So if I do a actually if I open Where was it? I think it's just a moon mission, wasn't it? Moon or lander mission, I think, was this one. Yeah, okay, let's have a look. Because basically, I'm wanting this thing. So I don't necessarily want a lander, but I want this thing. So if we take all of this off, actually, if we do, take this, actually, no. Take this, throw it in the bin, pop this on. What is this? Ah, yeah, don't need that either. Before we do anything else, let's have a look. See, this is at sea level. This has got so much delta V. Just all of it. We want to add a couple of bits to this because we've got some new. So we want two things. We want some solar panels. So that we generate power. We want some little science boxes on here so that we can transfer our science stuff, our experiment data into these. And I think these generally survive. These can generally survive re-entry eating. So I'm going to pop them on here in the hope that they do not block the door. Should be fine. Like as long as we re-enter from low Kelvin orbit, these should survive because obviously we're going to be having quite a lot of science in these. So I'm bringing two because I think you can bring up to like 2 or 3 copies of an experiment back. So the first one gives you the maximum amount of science, and then if you bring back a duplicate copy, you get a bit less science. And I think beyond the third or fourth copy of each sort of biome's experiment, you don't get any science value from it. So the plan is to go and grab 2 copies, and then eventually, when we've got when we've unlocked the science lab, what I normally do is I have 2 of these for gathering experiments to return to Kerbin, and then I stick an extra set in the command module itself to be processed in a lab. So yeah, I reckon that'd be alright. Yeah, because these have a temperature. Yeah, so the maximum temperature is 2,900 Kelvin. So assuming I'm assuming we have enough delta V to get back from Minmus and circularize the Kerbin again, which given this thing's got like 7,000 meters per second of delta V total, and that's in sea level. Like in vacuum, it's nearly 8,000. This has got way more delta V than we need. I mean, like normally I'd consider this what's this actually like? Oof, it's got 0.86 for a sweat ratio. That's a sea level, but it's not great. .03, and then this thing's got what? 1.96. Jesus. This thing's gonna need redesigning, I think, because this is sea level, I suppose. But again, like 0.86 TWR. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's like it's even worse. This is a skipper, isn't it? I mean, this might improve a bit if we edit the fairing here. We don't need it to be this big. Make it a little bit less massive. Yeah. How long is this burning for? 110 seconds. 74 seconds. So that's. What's this like in vacuum or altitude? Say altitude of like, say about 30 kilometers. 0.9. How high do we need to get before this becomes 1? Okay, it never actually reaches 1. It just becomes 0.99. I mean, we can always ditch the stage entirely and just go for this one if it's not working for us. But again, like that should improve as we burn its fuel. I think you can actually see the yeah. So it starts at 0.86, and then it's going to be like a third lighter by the time it's finished. So we might be all right. I mean, like normally this thing will be over-engineered, and you could probably remove a stage and be fine. But given this is science mode, we don't really care about money. Yeah, let's make sure we've got everything we need. We have this is the pomegranate, so this contains 3 people. We have the ablator. Cool, so this is going to be, rename this Minmus Rendezvous. Mr. Configure the vessel naming here. Yeah. Accept. Save. Actually, we'll just double check the what did I call it? I called it the B.E.A.N, didn't I? Let's double check the naming configuration then. Yeah, biome navigation 9. This, we're going to configure the naming here just in case everything goes wrong. Move to the escape module. E.V.A.N. And we give this priority 8. Just makes things easier. Okay. So I think we're ready to give this a try. Yeah, to save this. Not to launch just yet. We'll do it is daylight, so I think we can probably launch from here. That's the launch pad. We want the B.E.A.N, and we don't want engineer. I guess we can take Jeb, but we want them in the MK2 command pod initially. We want Bob because he is scientist. Yeah, so they're going to stay in the command pod initially. Actually, before I forget, I've forgotten one very important thing, which is we did not do the abort action group. So yeah, if anything gone wrong, we'd hit that button, nothing would have happened. So abort action group. What happens when we abort? We shut down all the engines. We don't know what stage we might need to abort at, so we shut down these. Shut down those. We then decouple this. Activate engine on this. And then in theory, so in theory, Oh yeah, we need to deploy the fairing as well. So we deploy the fairing, the engine shut down, deploy the fairing. This thing this thing should decouple, which basically releases, which will release this thing. And then hopefully we don't abort into orbit by mistake, but if we do, then we'll have to go and rescue them. Only so much I can do. But again, like in theory, if we hit the abort, we should be aborting before we end up in the stable orbit, because we'll be, I'm guessing we'll be, things will be going a bit wrong before then. Okie dokie. Yeah, and then cool. Yeah, save this. And I think we are during the day, so that we can optimize the crew here, so we can just launch straight from here. So yeah, Job in there. Bob also in there, and again we'll EVA them across, because I mean in theory, like they wouldn't be able to go navigate through a heat shield if they were. So I'm going to try and EVA them to the actual mission ship. But yeah, let's give this thing a try. KSP flight. There we go. SAS on. Power to maximum. And then hopefully the staging will work fine, but we'll find out. Start our gravity turn. Track prograde from now. Separation is good. Okay, we can slow this down a bit. We don't need to be like our aquabs is about a minute away, so we kind of want to keep it there if we can. I'm not going to bother with the. Until I'll do this. I'll do the fairing in the last possible when we hopefully get into orbit, because the Albatross is at 16. So our Albatross is about to leave the atmosphere, and which is good. I mean, we're already probably flying pretty flat, so hopefully we're actually nearly in orbit by now. But I'm going to get Albatross up to 80 ideally, and then yeah, we're nearly in orbit as we are. Like our periapsis is already minus 250. Actually, we go yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is actually not bad. Like we're almost in orbit as it is. It's still got 1200 meters per second, so I feel like we could probably I mean, I don't think we will. I think we'll ditch the we'll ditch this. See how much delta V we'd need. I mean, like it would be a bit silly not to use the delta V we've got. We'll see what the performance is like. But yeah, I mean, to get this up to 80 is like it's about a 10-second burn. There you are. Once we're unstable a little bit, then we can worry about preparations for launch. 25 seconds to burn. We're already nearly an hour in. Jesus. Rocket designing takes time, guys. 10 seconds to burn. Not too wobbly either. Although 81 to 80 is not bad. We are now in orbit, so obviously there's no quick saving, so I'm wondering if we should rotate around to face retrograde in case this goes wrong, which I think is what we'll try and do. Oh god, this is slow. Well, I think this is probably the best option, because then when we get rid of this we'll ditch this in retrograde, and hopefully it'll deorbit itself. Because we're not too high above, so it shouldn't take too much delta V to deorbit. And then you can aerobrake the rest of the way. And yeah, we still have 1,064 meters per second. That's enough to get to Minmus. But again, it's very, very slow, slow turning, so we'll see what happens. But right, and then whilst we're on the daylight side of the planet, let's see what happens. So stage this, then Not what I wanted. Cool, he's in. Then we get, so Bob's down there, Jeb's in here. So we get Jeb, do the same thing. Let go, activate RCS. Back up. Board, cool. They are now both in here, which is good. It's very good. So now, if we, the next stage should be this thing. So if we hit this, that'll fly off. Escape module. I guess we'll see what happens to that. There's nobody on it, so we don't need to worry too much. Right, let's try pointing this thing prograde and see what happens. Yeah, it's very slow turning. But again, we should have plenty of time to do these burns. So I'm thinking if we use, yeah, C1295. So I mean, like we can get most of the way to, we can get all the, pretty much all the way to Minmus on this thing. So what I'm thinking is, you know, over-engineered this slightly. We use this stage still to get us, like in the hope that it's not too wobbly. I guess we'll find out if it is. If it is, we'll abort the maneuver and reconsider. But I think it should probably be stable. But yeah, so we use this thing to do our intercept with Minmus. We'll get it so that this thing is on a collision course. We'll stage, we'll correct, and so the plan at the moment is to get into a polar orbit so we can land on the poles, and then try biome hopping south, so that we end up near the equator. Hopefully, after having landed in a few biomes, and then we can launch from the from close to the equator, and then get into an equatorial orbit for our rendezvous. So let's go to the map menu. So yeah, we'll see if this thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that thing's going to come back and going to re-enter the atmosphere. So the beam is heading for Minmus, which is all the way out here. It's just gone past its also I saw it sending it like 6 degrees out. We can do a course correction. So yeah, burn at Minmus rise again. It'll be about add a maneuver, which will reach in 19 minutes. So we've got plenty of time to knock about with it. Ooh, we actually like completely escape curve in there. That's what we want. Okay, we don't need to go that far. intercept by moving her. So usually we end up getting there a bit early. So oh yeah, we need to do our code for correction burn. Right. So closest approach is separation 93,000 kilometers. So now I have to go back to maneuver 1 and keep moving it around. There you go, I see we have an encounter now. Minmus perhaps, let's see if we can get that down. Switch to maneuver 2. Focus to Minmus. Maneuver 2. Okay, so we want to get on a on a kind of collision-y polary intercept is the plan. That one. That's pretty much exactly what we want, isn't it? Yeah, so maneuver 2 is about 50 kilometers per second burn. So yeah, we'll have to tweak this when we get there, but that is pretty much exactly what we want, really. Because we want to come down on the pole, or at least near the pole. Where's our flags? Do the flags up? Yeah, so our flag is on the greater flats, so we kind of want to aim for the for one of the other flats buy-ins, but we can worry about that later on. Actually, like, we should be able to wait until actually we can wait in orbit until it's in a good position, because obviously like, once you're near the pole, you end up with like issues where like it might be like not very bright for very long, which I've had on the pole of the moon, because I did in my career I did a rescue of a Kerbal who'd been stranded near the pole on the moon, and it was probably the most difficult rescue job I've done, because it's not easy to like land and do everything there. But I think we have our thing. So if we try and point in the direction of the maneuver node, and just double check our yeah, this is very, very slow. But again, we're gonna have plenty of time to do our maneuvers, because even once we're out of yeah. Let's time warp. Theory, yeah. So our electric charge is fine now because we have solar panels generating electricity from light, which is amazing. Hopefully we'll get some better solar panels by the time all this is over. But I suspect we'll probably we'll do some biome hopping, and then we'll probably do like the return from Minmus next time on Sunday. And try to do some biome hopping with this thing. Seemed too wobbly, so hopefully we're okay. That, as you can see, our thing is still pretty much what we want. We've got 2 days until we hit that move node. Let's like rotate ourselves to point at it, because like, it'll drift a bit, but and actually before we do that we can add our correction maneuver node, so we know what we're doing afterwards. So this maneuver node is in 2 days, 5 hours, 22 minutes. So we want to add like another one like a few minutes later, which will be the one that we correct. So for example, if we add maneuver there, for example, which would be in no, I don't know exactly when it would be, but nah, no, that's way too much. Like, that's pretty much going to be a polar. That's almost perfectly a polar orbit, and we can bring ourselves down so we're on like slightly on the daylight side of the pole. Because I don't know how far the polar region actually extends, so we want to try and land a bit near it, but on the daylight side, and then yeah. Cool. So I reckon if we warp there. I have no idea where Kerbin went, but there you go. the distance somewhere. But yes. Ooh, 2-second burn. It's not great. 16 seconds, all I can live with that. Forgot to do the frost limiter beforehand, so yeah, so we do this, we stage, in theory, and then we correct our thing with the next stage. Okay, let's double check. Cool, yeah, we're gonna crash, so and our next maneuver isn't 3 hours, so what we can do now is we can stage. Wave goodbye to this thing, which has taken us quite a long way. And this is a very, very slight burn, so what we want to do is we want to drop these down, like, considerably. 8 maybe? Again, it's kind of important to set them to the same value. Otherwise you'll end up with off-center burn, which would be bad. Wow, okay, over 6 seconds, Jesus. This is, it's not a very long burn. Okay, I think 0.5 is literally like the lowest we can go. Without actually just like cutting out. Nine-second burn, there you go. I think staging might have given us a bit of the desired thing, the desired actual, because by the decoupler has an ejection force. I think you show debris. This thing, yeah, is going to with 8 pieces of debris, which is something we need to figure out, we need to fix at some point. But yeah, let's go to our next maneuver. kilometers, pretty much going straight over the pole. So now what we need to do is do our circularization, which I'll do. I'll set them over here, and it'll give you a ridiculous amount of burn time, because we've got our maximum thrust at the moment. It's very, very low because we set it to 0.5%. Yeah. That's 22 to 19. That'll do. 20 to 20 is a fairly circular orbit. Again, it's like 56-minute, 12-second burn because our engines are currently very, very low power at the moment. So do this now, so it's 16-second burn, which is perfectly fine. Oh, there's Coburn. Found it again. All the way over there, and there's the moon. And then somewhere out there is Minmus, and we're heading towards it. It's always a bit difficult to spot. But we will be there soon. Right, let's point ourselves at our maneuver node and get ready for arrival with ridiculous amounts of delta V to spare. Start burning 4 days. Still 4 days away. Jesus. Yeah, we're there. We got to go all the way up to here. Very far. We can spot Minmus coming. It should be ahead. There it is. I see it. There we go. Hello, Minmus. Oh, okay. Yeah, the camera's being a bit odd. The camera's acting a bit weird because we're flying over the pole, I think. We don't want to overburn this. We overburn, we potentially crash. There we go. And we are in orbit. Look at that, polar orbit. And that's where we landed first, so... Okay, that is interesting because we're already over the Midlands, so we're gonna have to land right on the pole. Which means that we have to be a bit sharpish because we're not going to be generating electricity using our solar panels. So right now we're fine, but if we land in the dark, like there might not be light for a while. Yeah, so we need to. So if we, for example, do this, then probably they didn't tell you your landing biome based on your based on what does maneuver do? What does maneuver action do? Maneuver node. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's actually gonna help. Yeah, because unfortunately we can't like. I want to try and like target the thing. So I want to know how narrow the polar region is. So. I think it might be better to make our landing attempt when the side of the planet we want to hop down on is in daylight. Because at the moment we don't want to hop this way because this is greater flats. I've already been here. So I'm thinking if we keep an eye out and see roughly when we're over the pole, because it's going to take at least a few orbits. So I think if we get rid of this maneuver, warp to like here. And then see, we're in Midlands. So you keep an eye on the biome here. This is the biome we're directly above. Actually, you know what we can do? We can edit our action groups because I did forget to do the all science action group. Because then we can do So my science action group is normally 5. Conduct material study. Because you can do extra science on the in space. I think because in space low and everything else have their own their own thing. So you can conduct it and then and then you can collect the science when you land. Log pressure data. And then this thing you can log temperature. We can do a crew report as well. So yeah, so science 5. Action 5 will do all of our various science things. But yeah, so we're currently in space low over the Midlands, and we want to know roughly on here when we're directly over the pole, because I want to know roughly what the actual limitation of the polar region is. Oh, I see poles, right? So we're over the poles now. So what? It's about like a 5-degree cone. Yes, we're still on the poles. And then I think by the time we get around to our next orbit, this region here is looking potentially quite nice to hop towards. I think once we're down, depending on how large our hops are, we should be relatively okay for in space low over the poles. So let me just try out this. Let's try this out. Yeah, so you get a little bit of science. Keep experiment. Okay, so the crew report isn't specific. Near Minmus. Near Minmus. Near Minmus. Okay. So yeah, so there's actually a lot of value in doing it in space near. So let's reset this. Reset. Review report. Reset experiment. Right, there we go. Still over the poles. So yeah, it definitely seems to be about a 5-degree cone. And the poles are a single biome. So the north and south pole are actually the same. Whereas I think on other planets, I think the north and south pole can be different biomes. So I reckon if we try and land somewhere there on our next pass. So you do this, take this, our orbital velocity is 147, so we want to take off about half of that, which is 75, roughly, or 73. So we do 73 meters per second. It's about half our orbital velocity, and then if we drag that around. So if we try and aim, like for example, to come down directly below where we are now, then in theory, like we'll still have a bit of daylight, and we'll be landing on the poles. So yes, we do our deorbit burn, we stage, and then we attempt a landing. And hopefully this won't go horribly wrong, because the pole rescue, as I said, is quite annoying. So, as much as I love landing on Minmus, I say by the time we come round, this will be hopefully far enough around to the daylight we can start hopping towards it. Okay. And then hopefully landing will come up and tell us and confirm where our landing biome is going to be. Okay, 7-second burn. Squeaky bum time. And biome, impact biome poles, brilliant. That'll do. Right, let's switch back to this, because let us stage. switch this to this thing. And then we're going to try and land on the poles. And then hopefully hop out of the poles so that we don't lose electricity. In theory we should be like pretty much overshooting the poles a bit, so if we eventually cancel our velocity, then you'll see that we're not, oh no, we're fine. Yeah, well, status direct slow line. Sun exposure 0. Let's double check our 5.52 thrust to weight ratio, it's fine. I'm not sure about the suicide burn thing. But yeah, in theory we should be impacting in about 4 minutes. So. I see, there's our landing spot there. You can just about see it in the red there. So according to this, our suicide burn length is 1 minute and 20 seconds. I'm not sure about the suicide burn myself. I've tried it before and it always came in a bit early. That's right. Okay, we are considerably closer to the surface than I wanted to be. Let's reduce that to a bit. Yeah. We sit down. Right, how are we actually generating power? We are slightly. Yes. Okay, cool. Let's do what we came to do, because I don't want to be hanging around here too much on. So let's shut this down because we don't want to accidentally take off. Let's do the science. Some sciences. Keep all these. Oh yeah, let's turn off landing for now. Cool. So, Jeb's gonna stay indoors. Bob, however, is once we've so like that. So Bob's gonna take his little science kit. He is going to E.V.A. I love that Bob's in the main sea. He's gonna he's gonna take the data. We're gonna let go. Oh, no, we're not gonna grab, we're going to cool, we're on board. Collect data, remove data, restore, collect data, remove data, restore, take data, takes the data, then we drop down here, we do our E.V.A. report, take our surface sample, perform E.V.A. science, which today involves smashing a banana. Very, very important scientific data. We won't plant the flag yet. What we will do is we'll step forward, we'll hit this, we'll grab this thing, We will then stash everything in here. And then we will switch back to him. We will hit the science button again. We will switch back to can't quite take the data from here, but we can do is we can oh fuck, Kraken. Wee bit of Kraken there. Let's turn off SAS. Why is SAS off? You see, that's quite amusing actually. It's able to balance itself because the SAS wheels are like that powerful on Kerbin. But yes, anyway, let's not Kraken again. However, let's grab onto here so we can grab the data again. We will let go. Grab here. Collect data. Restore. Collect the data. Restore. Take this data. Take this data. Let go again. Hop back down to the ground. Look at him. He's so happy. Let us take a surface sample. E.V.A. report. Smash another banana to make sure it does the same thing it did last time. He loves doing this. Right, cool. So we got all of those things. Let's navigate our way back onto here. Walking on Minmus is always like each step's like a meter long. Cool. Let's RCS back. Take off. Give ourselves some forward momentum and then adjust our height a bit. Grab. Store our experiments in here. So now this thing's got 8 data. This thing has 8 data. We're doing up 51. So let's let go, RCS, up, forwards, and just like control our height, grab, and board. There you go. So that, oh, I forgot to do the I forgot the most important thing. Bob, get back out there. You'll notice I think his RCS fuel should replenish as well. Actually, I think yeah, his RCS fuel replenishes when you. Right, we need to plant a flag. Most important thing, we've landed on the poles. We must commemorate this. Why can you not? There we go. Plant flag 1. There we go. Cool. And hopefully that won't actually not. There was a thing where like if you planted a flag on Minmus, it would fall over like the instant you planted it. I think they fixed that in a recent patch. Okay, let's try the old flying. Cool. Right, we've planted the flag. We've boarded. So let's turn on SAS. This will be the first hop in theory. Now we have once we reactivate our engine, 2,583 meters per second. In theory, I think hopping shouldn't be as daunting as coming in from orbit, because we'll do one hop, and so the plan at the moment is for the landing thing to try and hop in a direction that will get us to the Midlands, I think. Basically, we want to hop to a different biome, and we want to hop. That's greater flat, so we want to kind of hop that way, and I'm not sure exactly which way we want to. I think it might be easier to adjust our trajectory once we're up. So I'm feeling we want to go away from north, so if we head due south from where we are, we end up hitting the greater flats, I think. So we kind of want to go, what is that, east? I don't know. We can always correct when we're not on the pole. But yeah, that's head south and then keep burning until our biome reads, our impact biome reads not poles. Midlands. Let's keep going for a bit. So what's that looking like now? Oh yeah, we're going to come in pretty steep as well. So see, our landing point now is there, which we should be able to beat. And we're kind of heading in the right direction. I reckon we can time warp a bit until we get to our apoapsis and then start coming back down again. And so delta V like 6.85. We are currently in the Midlands now. So. Oh no. Yeah, we are. So we can kind of we could sort out our horizontal velocity now, I think. Welcome to the Midlands of Minmus. Shut this down, our engine. Let's get ready to do some more science. We'll do this. Yeah, we'll do the science. We'll get ourselves ready for our next hop, and then I think we'll leave it here for this evening. But we'll do this set of science. We'll plant our flag. We'll go back in, get ready for leaving next time, and then we'll leave them on Minmus. I think we're probably like far enough south now that we're going to be reliably generating electricity. But yes, right, Bob. You must venture out again. Well, first of all, we hit 5. We get all of our data from the E.V.A. Bob. We grab the data. We let go. Hit the floor unceremoniously. I guess while we're down here, actually, we can do our ground science. E.V.A. report. Perform E.V.A. science. Basically, play golf this time. Into the lander, which is always a good idea. So that's 3 of those. Let's getting R not F. Okay. Right. Collect data. Remove data. Restore. Collect data. Restore. Take the data. Take the data. Store experiments in there. Those licenses could be stored. E.V.A. experiment from the service already. Oh, okay. This E.V.A. experiment. Oh, the E.V.A. report is. The E.V.A. report must be 1 per biome. Okay, what's this got then? Oh, yeah, to take it down. Yeah, for some reason I can't store that. Oh well. Minmus Midlands already stored in this module. E.V.A. sounds stored in this module. Huh. Oh well. Let's switch back to this. Turn SAS off because we're landed. Let's science again. Let's switch back to Bob. Collect data, remove it, restore it. Same with this thing. In theory, he's got four. He's got the E.V.A. He's got the E.V.A. report still. And he's got the E.V.A. science report still. So we don't need to do those again. I think it needs to be down. Let's that was not the right thing to do. Let's take this, head on down. I think it's the surface sample we don't have, so let's grab this. Otherwise this could be stored. E.V.A. science experiment says already. I think that's I'm not sure if that's a bug or not. But oh well, like whatever we can't store in these will be stored in here, so we can always transfer it. So let's let go. Let's land, do our flag. Midlands, science, Saints, science, site, Jeff and Bob was here too. Free was here too. Cool. All right, let's pop ourselves back in our ship. And we will call it a day there because it's 7 minutes past. And so next time we'll do some more biome hopping because we still got 2,300 meters per second. So lots of biome hopping in this thing. So yes, let's return to the Space Center because we are concluding this evening, and then we shall do the rest of Minmus, and then the rendezvous return on Sunday, hopefully. So we shall save the game because that's been quite successful so far, and we will quit to main menu. Just hopefully thanking people for joining me, and then Sunday 5 p.m. is the plan. We got no moon in Sandcastle. That's unfortunate. One day we'll see it. But so until then, hopefully you enjoyed watching this and finding it hopefully remotely interesting. If I don't really care if you don't, because I'm playing this for my own enjoyment and I'm streaming it for my own enjoyment. But there you go. So hopefully see you on Sunday. Cheerio.